How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. Welcome back to Learning GameMaker Studio 2. And we are like a week behind. I'm sorry. But this is what's going on. I tried to make the turn-based battle system into an active time battle system. And yeah, it's over my head. So I jumbled around and messed with it for a long time. And it's broken. It doesn't work. So I'm going to have to, because I'm just getting so far behind, I'm going to have to just put this project to the side and work on something else while I'm working on this in the background. So this is how the ATB system works right now. It sets up right. The ATB gauge fills up. It lets me deselect and select my skills just fine. This is the healing skills attack. But when I attack, it just loops. Like it automatically loops. Like, see, I'm pressing nothing now. And it's also double triggering. I don't know what's going on. It's all janked. It's all messed up. But whatever. I'll keep messing with it, and I'll let you guys know if I get something that's worth showing you. That's not even worth showing you. The code, anyway. It's broke. But anyway, something that is still related to this project, the GameMaker Studio 2 RPG, right? So I want to use a tile set, and instead of using like a side view with gravity, I'm going to use no gravity, so it's more of like a RPG Maker style game, right? But it's going to have a different, everything's going to be different because it's made in GameMaker Studio 2. But this is an old chipset made for, I think, if it's not XP, then it's 2003. I don't know. It's an old chipset somebody made and it's free. So I'm using this as my tile set, but I'm going to have multiple tile sets. One thing that's really cool with GameMaker Studio 2 in comparison to RPG Maker when it comes to building your maps, you have unlimited layers with GameMaker Studio 2. You could just literally add another tile layer, stack it however you want. You could use the same tile set for multiple layers. It's really easy. So let's jump into how to get started on this. The first thing you're going to want to do is locate like a tile set, right, or a chip set for the old school, what they used to be called chipsets, but it's just a tile set. It's a sprite sheet. So once you've found that, there's plenty of sources. I've got other videos on it. Look it up, Google, do some research, find your, or make it. It'd be really cool if you could make your own there. But anyway, once you've found a free to use one, all you have to do is go to sprites, add new. And then when you create a new sprite, you know what, before you create a new sprite, you're going to probably have several maps, so you want to right-click on sprites and add group, and then add a group and call it TS for tile sets, just to keep them all organized and try to keep everything organized. And then add a new sprite, and then what you want to do is click on import, and then you locate that file that's on your hard drive, and then you basically select that. Once you've selected that, that's it you really need to do for the sprite. Give it a name, S underscore something. Try to use some sort of naming convention, because what we're going to do is turn the sprite into a tile set, and there's formal tile set support in GameMaker Studio 2 opposed to GameMaker Studio 1.4. So it's really awesome. Then we're going to, inside of our tile sets section, see, we've got our sprites called TS. This is just holding the sprite data, but we need to turn this sprite data into tile set data. So under tile sets, right click and create new, and call it whatever, the same thing as your sprite, but call it TS instead of S, because now this isn't just the sprite, this is the tile sheet that we're going to be using, the tile set. Okay, so right off the bat, all this stuff won't open up, but tile set properties should open up. So one thing is important to note, especially if you're going to make your own tile set, is the top left corner has to be, well, it doesn't have to be blank, but it's going to be read as blank. So whatever you put in the top left tile is going to be completely ignored, because GameMaker Studio 2 and a lot of other engines in code in general needs an index of 0. It needs 0 as it's blank, as it's defaults to nothing. It's empty, it's transparent. Its alpha of 0 needs to be this one. So even though there's artwork on this top left tile, it's not going to be shown at all. It'll be, this is the empty spot. Anyway, what you want to do is basically change the tile width and the tile height so that these little white lines match the actual pixel density of the tile set. Now I'm using 16 by 16 size pixels, 16 by 16 pixel size tile set sprite sheets, right? So these are all set up to be 16 pixels by across by 16 pixels up. If you're using 32 by 32, just change these numbers. The white grid lines will update automatically. If you're using a tile set and for some reason it's off by a few pixels, you can always just make an offset of 1, and it'll move everything over 1, or whatever number, and move it over. You could even use negative numbers, I think. No, you can't use negative numbers. What you would do, though, is if you needed to move it over to the left one, you would instead add 15, and that would just cycle it everything to the left one, right? But skipping the first part. Anyway, hopefully that clears that up. The separation, also, you can add separation in between them if you put extra pixels. So you don't have to follow a specific order when you make your your character sheets and your tile sets in GameMaker Studio 2, because you can always use the tile properties to tell the engine how you want the whole blanket PNG to be read, right? You could also thicken the borders and do other stuff. But that's pretty much it. For navigation, a good trick you might want to use is the middle mouse button. If you middle mouse button and click and hold the middle mouse button, you can drag and move it around. That'll help you, like, oh, I don't understand what it's not doing. Just middle mouse click and move, and it'll move it for you. You could also scroll in to move down, and scroll up back to move the other direction. If you hold shift, scroll goes left to right. And if you hold control, scroll zooms in and zooms out. So middle mouse button is sort of like handles it all between the shift and the control and whatnot. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the tile set properties. Let's look at the brush builder. What's a brush builder? Do I need it? Well, not really. But is it kind of cool? Yeah, sure it is, because it might save you some time. If you're going to be repeating the same stamps over and over and over, you might want to just place those down. So what I'm doing right here, I still can control it with middle mouse button, so let's zoom out a little bit and move it around. You can also click on this button to center it, so it'll just perfectly center it so you get the maximum resolution that it's going to let you have. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want to see a little bit better. Alright, so what I want to do is maybe say this whole tree. I'm going to reference this, you can see I've already got it there, but what I would do is left click and hold and drag, and now it's going to select a big pattern of it, and you can even specifically define other attributes right here. All you have to do is left click on your brushes, boom, and now this whole thing is saved as a brush. So when you're on the map editing, you can just single left click on anything right here, and it'll highlight the whole thing, and you can just paste that tree over and over really quickly. It saves a lot of time. It's pretty cool. And you can see I've got some brushes here. Let's go ahead and make another one. Let's go ahead and put that one there. Oh, one thing to note, when you're doing these brushes, you have to space them apart by 1. Because say I put this log right here, right next to this one, well, when I click on the log or the tree, because they're connected, the engine's going to think this is one image. So it's going to highlight the log and the tree, and it's going to stamp both. So if I want to place them separately, I need to have a spacer. So I see that, well, there's 2 spacers in here, but all there needs to be is 1 spacer, and they'll separate fine. That's pretty much it. Okay, let's move on. Let's go ahead into auto tiling. What is auto tiling? Do I need it? You probably want it because it's pretty cool. And the thing about it is, if you're going to make your own art, you can make your own art specifically the way the engine wants it to be. I'll show you. So what you can do is add 2 different kinds of tile sets. You can add a 47 piece tile set or a 16 piece tile set. But what it doesn't really matter how many pieces your actual tile set is. What you're doing is you're defining a section of like a group of tiles, so that when you draw, those group of tiles will put themselves in order to make drawing maps more efficient and time easier. So let's see how we would set up an auto tile. Setting up a 47 is going to, I don't have the resources for that because you can't use duplicates. So we'll do a 16. We'll try this. So wherever there's white is going to be where I'm going to put solid then. We'll try it that way. And try not to use duplicates. Let's say, okay, so right here, white is the solid, and then boom, and then boom, and then boom, and then we'll just use that, and then white is the solid, so that would be that one. Right? Oh no, okay, so this is where there was a duplicate. We'll go with that one then. And then right here, will be that one, and this will just be that one. This will be that one. This will be that one, and there we go. And for the top left corner, pop that, and then maybe pop that, and then for the transparent, we'll just use that one. So it should work. Anyway, let's test that. I don't need this one. AT undercoat ground 1. Let's go back to our test room. There we go. Now it's auto tiling. But because my transparent tile is hold up. Libraries. AT ground. There it goes. Alright. So I might have to edit this, no big deal. Alright, so you can see what the auto tiling is doing now. It's using the ones that I've selected to auto tile. Now you can tell where one of them isn't quite right in the bottom, the very bottom center. It needs to be like a reversed one. So we'll go ahead and change that. But you can see how we set up the tile there. So I'll just go back to here. And the one that was using, I think it was this one. It needs to be actually this one. Oh, okay, you see how it went gray now instead of red? Now there's no duplicate, so now it registers it as a correct one, I guess. So if we click on it now, yeah, I mean it works, but it's only going to spit out the tiles that you tell it to use. So you can see how it put the edges toward it. Otherwise, without the auto tile, you're going to end up with tiles that kind of look like this. You'll see that they all are just identical tiles, and they don't have any sort of like edging to them or like grass along the edges or anything, and they look a little more boring, right? Of course, this whole example isn't super great because I'm showing you dirt. It's not super exciting, but whatever. Just to get the, I think I messed that up. I want to mess my trees up. Fix some of that. Also, you can adjust your size right here. So if I want to get rid of big chunks of stuff, you can. And just really start slopping a bunch of stuff around. Now, I'm not the best designer when it comes to making maps, but I do I just wanted to show you guys how you could do this in GameMaker Studio 2 and set up your tile set and everything. What else do we need to cover? I think that's pretty much it. We set up our tile set. We use the properties. We set up our brush. And, oh, I didn't show you the brush, right? How would you use the brush? Well, you go to brushes and you just click on it, and then it just like selects it like a brush. Now look, another thing I want to point out, so we're not completely done. What if you want to use trees on top of the grass, but it's not letting you because it's like it's blacking out, right? How come it's doing that? We'll press Control Z to undo that. Well, all you have to do is add a new tile set layer. So create new tile set layer. You see I've done this already. So now I'm on tile set layer 2. Now on tile set layer 2, you're still going to have to go to this tile set layer, click on it, click on right here, and select a tile set you want to use. So it's going to be in the properties. Once you've selected the tile set you want to use, we've already made it, right? You could use the same tile set in multiple layers, which is super cool. Then you can set up your brushes or you know, for this layer you'll probably use different brushes, you'll use different things and whatnot. So now we're on a separate layer, on layer 2. Now we're able to draw these trees right on top of the other stuff. And that gives us as many layers as we want. Now let's say we wanted to put something in those trees that's in the grass. Like what? Like one of these, just for funsies, we'll put one of these flowers in the tree in the grass. But how would we do that? Because look, if we put the flower there, it's erasing the tree and it's just showing the background. So let's go through the process of how we would add a third layer. Just select on the tile layer you want it to be above. Create a new tile layer. We're going to press F2 or rename, so we'll just say tile layer 3. Now, this is above it, so we'll draw it on top of it, but we need to assign a tile set to it. Oops. Now, when we select on this, it will draw, let's zoom in, it will draw the flower on top of the tree on top of the grass. And you see how many layers we can create, as many as we want. So, I think that will be the end of this quick tutorial on how to do tile sets and stuff inside of GameMaker Studio 2. Hopefully you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please smash that like button. Let me know you enjoyed it by subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, I've got RPG Maker MV tutorials. I do GameMaker Studio 2 tutorials. The GameMaker Studio 2 tutorials are slightly slower than the MV tutorials. MV tutorials come out twice a week, just pretty much, and then as much as I can. Right now, look, my internet's down. Thanks, Cox Communication. I got no internet, so I'll post this as soon as I can, whenever they want to let me up. It's Tutorial Tuesday. No tutorial. No tutorial. Can't upload a video. Oh, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Did I say Cox Communication? Cox Communication's great. I used them for a long time. I thought they did great service. I had 300 megabit per second down, 30 megabit per second up. I'm using USA Communication right now, and I've had a lot of downtime. My current speed is 100 megabit per second down, 5 megabit per second up, and I'm paying $100 a month. So, rip off. Bye, guys.